Hi, my name is Erin Cook, and this is for Dr. Shahan's test techniques. I would like to begin by saying that this is my second time recording this video. For some reason, something went horribly wrong when this video was uploaded the last time, and so only 6 seconds of it uploaded. It was originally a 14-minute long video, and since I could not find it anywhere on my computer, I'm having to redo it. However, I don't have much time, so this one will probably be not quite so in-depth at all. So, Chapter 1 is classroom decision making and using assessment. So, an assessment, can't seem to find any information I was using it last time. There we go, I found it. Assessment contributes to decisions, but not everyone is going to interpret information in the same way, and the good decisions are based on high quality information. Assessment is more than just testing and grading students. It is also gathering and using information to improve your teaching and your students' learning. Teachers make decisions about students every 2 to 3 minutes, so 20 minutes and 20 times a class period. Sound teaching requires sound information, which is provided by sound assessment procedures. These decisions begin before class starts and don't end when class is over. You can read more about this in your textbook on pages 4 and 5, or watch the video on decision making and performance assessment, which I've already created before this. Learning expectations should be modeled in a way that helps students understand what is expected of them. And there are quite a few different types of decisions. There are selection decisions, which determine who is and is not acceptable, such as a college admission. Placement decisions, which determine what level a person is placed on, and this is for, say, if everyone gets accepted, well, this determines what track they're put on. Like in elementary and high schools, everyone has to go. So this determines whether or not they get put in the SMART core classes or the regular classes. Classification decisions pertain more to unordered categories. No position is actually over another. Counseling and guidance decisions help students determine their career path. Credentialing decisions determine if a student has attained certain standards of learning. And data-driven decisions make analysis, interprets, and uses data to contribute to expanded instruction. Let's see, what's something that's important? A test is an instrument or systematic procedure for observing and describing one or more characteristics of a student using either a numerical scale or a classification scheme. Measurement is defined as a procedure for assigning numbers to a specified attribute or characteristic of a person in such a way that the numbers describe the degree to which the person possesses the attribute, like a rating scale. Evaluation is the process of making a value judgment about the worth of the student's product or performance, which is kind of like a rubric. And you evaluate more than just students. You also evaluate textbooks, instructional materials, instructional procedures, curriculum, educational programs, and even schools. High-stake testing is used for making decisions that result in serious consequences for school administrators, teachers, or students, and goes hand in hand with accountability testing, which holds students and school officials responsible for ensuring that students meet state standards. There's the No Child Left Behind Act, which is very important, and there's quite a bit of information on it. It's too much to go into in just this video, so I suggest you read up on it on pages 14 through 16. And if it will please allow me to, thank you. Chapter 2 is describing the goals of instruction. And I'm very sorry that I'm rushing through this. I'm trying to simply get this video done. It has been rather stressful. I spent a lot of time trying to figure all this out. So a learning objective is something that you would like your student to achieve when they have completed an instructional segment. Your state standards are your Common Core state standards, and there are two different types of standards, achievement standards. There are content standards and performance standards. And content standards are things that you want your students to know, like subject matter facts, concepts, and principles. And performance standards are things that your students need to be able to do. You want to derive your learning goals and instructional objectives from your state standards. And because there's so much that your students need to learn, you want to make sure that you can combine certain learning objectives under one type or under certain assessments. So try to put multiple things under one assessment so you spend less time trying to teach multiple subjects. There are multiple sources for locating your learning objectives. You can find this in your Common Core state standards and your state curriculum frameworks, your teachers' manuals, the National Assessment of Educational Progress. There are books on teaching methods, manuals. There's lots of things you can find to help you locate learning objectives. Bloom's taxonomy is consisting of 6 parts, which are a comprehensive outline of a range of cognitive abilities, and these range from simple to complex, starting with knowledge, which is the recall of specifics and universals, comprehension, which is the lowest level of understanding, application, which is the use of abstractions, analysis, which is the breakdown of communication and its constituent elements or parts, synthesis, which is putting together of elements and parts to form a whole, and evaluation, which is creating a judgment on the value of material and methods for given purposes. To write a specific learning objective, there are 3 different types of learning objectives you can create. One is student-centered, which is objectives focused on the student. One is performance-centered, which is objectives worded in terms of what a student can perform after the required learning experiences. And one is content-centered, which is objectives state the specific content to which the student should apply the performance. Sorry, it's taking time. Aligning assessment tasks with learning objectives. You want to make sure that they align. They can align to mastery learning objectives, which is their ability to perform something, so performance tasks, and aligning assessment to state standards, which is content tasks or content standards. And then we have chapter 13. You'll give me just a few moments to get there. Okay. Performance assessments do 2 things. Next page. Chapter 13 is performance and portfolio assessments. Performance assessments do 2 things. They require a student to both create a project or demonstrate a process and use clearly defined criteria to evaluate the qualities of student work. Performance task is an assessment activity that requires students to demonstrate their achievement by producing an extended written or spoken answer, by engaging in a group or individual activities, or by creating a specific product. There are many types of performance assessments, such as structured on-demand tasks, paper and pencil tasks, tests requiring other equipment and resources, demonstrations, longer-term projects, experiments, simulations, computerized adaptive scenarios, and computerized adaptive scenarios. To read more about these, I would suggest that you to read more about these, I would suggest that you go from pages 262 to 269. And then there are some advantages and criticisms of performance assessments. Some advantages are the performance tasks clarify the meaning of complex learning objectives. They assess the ability to do. It's consistent with modern learning theory. It requires integration of knowledge, skills, and abilities. It is linked more closely with teaching activities. It broadens the approach to student assessment. And it lets teachers assess the process students use as well as the things they produce. However, there are also disadvantages. High-quality performance assessments are difficult to create. Completing performance tasks takes students a lot of time. Score and performance task response take a lot of time as well. Scores from performance tests may have lower score reliability, reliability. Student performance on one task provides little information about the performance on other tasks. Performance tests do not assess all learning objectives well. Completing performance tests may be discouraging to less able students. Performance assessment may underrepresent the learning of some cultural groups. And performance assessments may be corruptible. I don't think I'm going to go over how to create a performance assessment, but you can learn about that on pages 270 to 275, and actually 270 to 95, which is all of the rest of chapter 13. And I would really like to go all over most of that with you, but we simply don't have the time. I'm very sorry for the quality of this video today. I would have loved to go more in depth. So next we have our guest speaker, Dr. Honeycutt, and I would like to thank her for coming and speaking to our class. We spoke over 3 main things, however I only thought to write down 2 of them. One of these is triangulation of data, which creates a triangle, and at the top portion of the triangle you have your test score for whatever exam. And then at one side of the triangle you will have something from the past, and on the other side of the triangle another thing from the past. So like you'll have past score and a past teacher, or past experience in a special ed class and a past teacher, and so on and so forth. And this helps you determine what your student already knew before the testing. Scores or data collected over a period of time are called trend data. And then we also went over test blueprints, which I found to be very informative. It's basically a rubric for creating, or a grid for creating and keeping up with student performance. For example, you have your section for your standard, and then you have your learning objective and the activity you used to teach it. Then you have your assessment on how you made sure that they understood it, and then you had the question that specifically pertained to that objective, and then you could have a part that showed how many got it correct and how many got it wrong. And so with this, if you notice that a bunch of your students didn't do very well, well then you can go back and say, okay, we need to reteach that. So if you did show and tell the first time and they didn't get it very well, well then maybe we need to try something else, like using internet research. And honestly, I really enjoyed learning all of this. I wish I could have been more in depth in this video. In fact, I usually go over this and I record it multiple times to make sure that I get everything said exactly the way it needs to be said. And it just wasn't going to happen this go around. I hope that you still got some information out of this video. If not, I'm terribly sorry. I was rather frazzled. Anyway, so this has been Dr. Shahan's Assessment Techniques, chapters 1, 2, 13, and our guest speaker, Dr. Honeycutt. And I thank you for watching.